Hello, Forever Family. Once again, it's time to do another Bible study video to make disciples. Have you ever wondered if all the versions of the Bible share the same message? Well, God has given us the passion to find out. How is He doing that? There's a website called www.wherescripturespeaksclearly.org, which has over 2,500 complete book studies, topical teachings, and different formats to share in the gospel. The tagline for www.wherescripturespeaksclearly.org is passion to make disciples. That's what He's given us. He's given us passion to make disciples. Doing the same message in as many versions of the Bible to reach whoever with the gospel, and as many platforms as the Lord opens to be on there. Some of those platforms are our Facebook page, Parler, MeWe, YouTube, and Twitter sites that are all called Where Scripture Speaks Clearly. Today, Ecclesiastes 3, verse 1 through 13 from the GNB version of the Bible. We read starting in verse 1 through 13, a time for everything. Everything that happens in this world happens at the time God chooses. He sets a time for birth and a time for death. The time for planting and a time for piling up. The time for killing and a time for healing. The time for tearing down and a time for building. He sets a time for sorrow and the time for joy. The time for mourning and the time for dancing. The time for making love and the time for not making love. The time for kissing and the time for not kissing. He sets the time for finding and the time for losing. The time for saving and the time for throwing away. The time for tearing and the time for mending. The time for silence and the time to talk. He set the time for love and the time for hate. The time for war and the time for peace. What do we gain from all our work? I know the heavy burdens that God has laid on us. He has set the right time for everything. He has given us a desire to know the future, but never gives us the satisfaction of fully understanding what He does. So I realize that all we can do is to be happy and do the best we can while we are still alive. All of us should eat and drink and enjoy what we have worked for. It is God's gift. Ecclesiastes 3, verse 1 through 13 from the GNB version of the Bible. As a Christian, I'm supposed to be sharing the gospel, so I just did my part. And now I'm just asking you to do your part. What is your part? Whatever platform you're watching this video on, let the platform know if this message reached you or if you engaged this message and why. Leave a positive comment. What I've learned in ministry, sometimes it takes one courageous person to leave a positive comment for other people to also leave another positive comment. So I'm going to help you with that. What I'm going to do in the comment section is I'm going to leave some questions, and I'd love for you to answer those questions. The only purpose of these questions is to find out who's watching these videos so that we can team together to share the gospel. If you want to store treasures for yourself in heaven, all you have to do, because we use Scripture to explain Scripture, is hit the share button, and you'll be doing the great commission of sharing the gospel that you heard here with your friends. And as soon as everybody hears the gospel and decides where they want to spend eternity, we get to go home to heaven. So like, share, follow, subscribe to these sites, rate these videos, like these groups or small groups. If you get involved, maybe give someone else also to be encouraged to get involved in these groups. A year ago, God had me make some shirts and some masks. On the shirts, on both sides, He had me put Scripture. And on the mask, He had me put the picture of the bookcase of Bibles that I started this website on. And so I'm going to put those videos, Lord willing, on these different sites. I'd love to get your feedback on them. And there's something else coming soon. And whenever God puts something in my heart to do, I always will do a video once it arrives so I can get your feedback on it. So I want to thank you for coming here today. Now, go to Where Scripture Speaks Clearly. There's a Facebook page, Parler, MeWe, YouTube, and Twitter. They all have the same name, Where Scripture Speaks Clearly. But if you want more content, you want to read Bible studies, www.wherescripturespeaksclearly.org, which has over 2,500 complete book studies, topical teachings, and different formats to share in the gospel. So I'm always adding more of these book studies, topical teachings, and different formats to share in the gospel. So keep coming back. It's goodbye for now. But rate these videos, like these videos, get involved in these different sites, the things I've done, and go to these different sites and do the exact same thing. Maybe because you got active, somebody else will also get active, and this group will get bigger so we can reach more people. God bless you. Keep coming back. Go to Where Scripture Speaks Clearly, Facebook page, Parler, MeWe, YouTube, and Twitter, and there'll probably be other sites, and when that becomes available, I'll let you know. And www.wherescripturespeaksclearly.org, which has over 2,500 complete book studies, topical teachings, and different formats of sharing the gospel. I've done my part. Will you do your part? Remember, I'm always adding more book studies, topical teachings, and different formats of sharing the gospels. Goodbye for now. See you again soon.